Shekharji, last week we were in this Tripura Bhairavi. Correct?
Tripura
Am I
Bhairavi.
right?
Uh,
Ushaji, can you confirm? We were here, Bhima Tripura Bhairavi.
right.
Yeah. Now, Maharund
No, I think
Charunda.
we completed that.
Oh, we
Maharunda.
come.
Ah,
I think we had done Tripurabari.
Okay. No, you're right. You're right. I don't know, but मेरे पास video नहीं मिल.
Raktadanta was the last name.
हाँ, Hastadanta also we connect. Okay.
Raktadanta.
Raktadanta also. Oh, Raktadanta also is covered. Huh?
Correct.
Okay, now after that, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Here. Raktadantodvkeshi ch.
So we have to start with Urdhvakeshi.
हाँ, ऊर्ध्वकेशी. हाँ. I will just slightly, move it. हाँ, ऊर्ध्वकेशी. हाँ, ऊर्ध्वकेशी च. बंधु. हाँ,
Yes.
बंधुकक्त सुमा रुणा. सुमा. हाँ.
So Urdhvakeshi is the next nama. Urdhva means upwards. Kesha is hair. So normally the word Urdhvakeshi refers to unkept hair, right? Where the hair is turned upwards in a kind of an disheveled manner, sort of things. So amongst the Navadurgas, if we follow, no, there is one Swarupa called Kalaratri. The Kalaratri Durga is normally depicted wherever we see, okay, with a hair which is standing out. So that is actually called as the Urdhva Kesha. What is the significance of Urdhva Kesha? Right, there is one Nama which is there in the Shiva Sahasranama for describing Shiva as Vyoma Kesha. Vyoma means sky. One who has the entire sky as his hair. Okay, Vyoma Kesha. That Nama in its Bengalized form becomes Bomkesh. Okay, it is Vyoma Kesha. The Nama Urdhva Kesha, Vyoma Kesha, they iconographical significance of these forms. See, normally the hair stands for or is connected with mind. Even in the puja paddhatis, the normal puja paddhatis that is followed, uh, we know that traditionally, whether it was men or women, they were expected uh, to have what is called as a shikha. Okay, shikha not in case of the woman, but in the case of men, the long tuft of hair that they have to wear. All right. So at the beginning of any worship, any puja, the worshipper was supposed to tie the hair in a knot, as a bun. Okay, you have to tie it. It's called as shikha bandhanam. The significance of this particular act when it is described, acha, okay, it is called as bodhi. All right. So the significance of this act is to gather your mind, gather your thoughts. And in Sri Durga Saptashati also, the second Charitra, the Madhyama Charitra, where Devi Lakshmi's Avirbhava, no, manifestation is described as coming from the tejas of the various deities. Okay. The Kesha, the hair, comes from the tejas of Kal, time. So normally the Kesha or the hair stands for the concept of time and the manas, because only the mind can grasp the sense of time, because we know that you cannot empirically prove time. Time is not an empirical phenomenon. Time is a relativist phenomenon, okay, which is completely dependent on the observer. This is a very, very strong point that uh, the ancient India truly believed in, the concept of Kala. So that brings to what Rakeshji has been asking, to have a discussion on Kala, the time, concept of time. Anyway, we'll do that.
We will do
So,
that next week probably. Yeah, we.
yes, yes. So, Kesha stands for Kala and also stands for mind, because it is the mind which can grasp Kala. It is the mind which can grasp the dik, the direction also. So, Urdhva Kesha stands for the mind which is focused not into anything ephemeral, not into anything which is worldly, but the mind which is focused towards higher concepts. And here, higher is referring to the concept of the para, the Paravidya, where the mind is focused towards the Paravidya. So, Urdhva Keshi as a Nama stands for that aspect of Devi wherein she bestows upon the devotees a focused mind, a mind which is turned towards higher thinking, especially spiritual thinking. So, this is also one of the reasons why the aspect of the jata, wearing the hair as a matted locks above the head, okay, also comes in, especially in the cases of those who have renunciated. Okay, I won't say sannyasi, but something similar to that, right? So the kesha is the mind, significant. It signifies mind. Kesha is not mind; it signifies mind. Urdhva kesha is the mind which is directed upwards. So she is Urdhva keshi. Then we have the next nama, Bandhuka Kusumaruna. There are three components in this compound: Bandhuka, Kusuma, Aruna. Aruna means reddish in complexion. Kusuma means flower. Bandhuka is the name of a flower. I'm not very sure what it is called even in Hindi. Bandhuka Kusuma is, you will have red color flowers, okay, like a bunch. Okay, it will be like um, it's called as a vrikshi in the South Indian languages. Techi, vrikshi, etc. in the South Indian languages. It's a beautiful flower with lot of individual floral components, okay, which will all look like a ball. Bandhuka is therefore ball. Okay, so the flowers that looks like a ball. Okay, so it is mostly reddish in complexion. Now we are having hybrid varieties in yellow and pink and sort of things. But normal Bandhuka Kusuma is red, just as hibiscus is normally a red color flower. So one who is reddish in complexion, and to compare that redness, Bhagavan uses the analogy of a Bandhuka Kusuma, okay, of the Bandhuka flower. Now, there are so many other flowers. Why only use Bandhuka? Because normally, when certain standards of comparisons are used, the standard of comparisons are also significant in such highly philosophical works like Bhavani Sahasranama and others. For example, normally when the comparison is drawn to the tongue of Devi Kali, Dakshina Kalika, Japa Kusuma is used, the hibiscus is used. Okay? It is because of the aspect of the tongue or the Rasanendriya being responsible for speech, and the flower is Japa Kusuma. Okay, so the speech which is reddened by the Japa. So constant repetition. So it's a reminder of a constant repetition, okay, of the mantra by contemplating on the mantra that the tongue has turned red. So that is the aspect which the standard of comparison, that is the Japa Kusuma, is trying to drive home with respect to Dakshinakala. Similarly, Bandhuka Kusuma, we know how the ball uh, uh, moves, right? How the ball behaves when you throw the ball, right? So it it converts its innate shakti, no, its innate potency into activity. Okay, so something, if you want to draw a comparison, we can say that the potential energy becoming the kinetic energy. All right, so that is something that we can visually see in the rolling of a ball. So Aruna, so the reddish complexion of Devi stands for her Vimarshana Shakti. Okay, in the Bhavanopanishad, there is a very clear statement which says that this Vimarshana of Shakti is the redness that we observe in the world. Lauhityam etad jagataha Vimarshanam asyaha. Lauhityam, that redness in the world, is her Vimarshana Shakti. Okay, is her capacity to self-reflect. So the red color stands for the ability to self-reflect. Okay, so now let's put these two aspects together. It is because of her Vimarshana Shakti, her capacity to self-reflect, which results in the potency inherent in Parashiva to become dynamically manifest as the Prapancha. So the conversion of the Ichhagnanadi Shakti into the Kriya is because of this Vimarshanatva. And this aspect is driven home by this standard of comparison, which is the Bandhuka Kusuma. See, they are all symbolic. When we visit temples, you will find certain motifs which are common across temples, whether it is South Indian temples or any temple across not only India, but even in the greater India. Okay. Some of these motifs, like lotus motifs, like Kalasha motif, all right, they are not mere decorations. Or else, why will you see repetition of that pattern across? There are so many other designs that you can come up with there. They are all symbolic. Okay, so there is a symbolism behind these motifs used. Similarly, the flowers also. We have to always look at a system, especially a system like Trika, which speaks of the three levels of experience: the apara, the parapara, and the para. And what is there in the para needs to be, it needs to permeate into the philosophical or even the religious practices which we indulge, okay, at the apara level. It is only to keep reminding us, okay, about the highest experiential truth that this system is created, which includes such symbolisms and others. Okay, today we call it as semiotics. So this is the semiotics which is there, okay, which is inbuilt into our system. So Bandhuka Kusumarana stands for the aspect of the Devi which drives home the aspect that it is through her Vimarshana that the Ichhagyana, the Shaktis, okay, becomes the Kriya Shakti, resulting in the manifestation of the universe, okay, which is nothing, not different from Shiva, but it is a different state of experience. So she is Bandhuka Kusuma Aruna. The next nama is Kadambari. Okay. Kadamba is also a tree whose flowers are supposed, they're olive green in color. Okay, they will look like a ball. Okay, so Kadamba flowers will look like a ball, olive green in color, considered to be very dear, especially to the aspect of Devi called Rajamatangi. Okay, she is one of the Dashamaha Vidyas, and in the Sri Vidya tradition, she is the Mantrini. She is the minister, the chief minister of Tripura Sundari. All right. So she is born from the bow of Tripura Sundari. Tripura Sundari has 4 weapons. One is a sugarcane bow. The second is the 5 flower arrows, 1 noose and 1 goad. Pasha, Ankusha, Dhanur, Bana. So she comes from the Dhanu. She comes from the sugarcane bow. And sugarcane is nothing but once again signifies Manas. Manorupa Ikshu Kodanda. That is the Nama in the Lalita Sahasranama. Manorupa Ikshu Kodanda. It is the mind which is personified or symbolized as the Ikshu Kodanda, as a sugarcane bow. Okay. The flowers, the flowery arrows are Pancha Tanmatras. The 5 Tanmatras which gets reflected in the 5 Indriyas, etc. Pancha Tanmatra Sayaka. Sayaka means the arrows. So they are all symbolized. What I was explaining in the previous Nama. So this Kadamba flowers, okay, is considered to be very dear to Rajamatangi. And from these Kadamba flowers, a kind of a wine was extracted, and this wine was called as Kadambari. Right? This wine was called as Kadambari. Now, it's a closed group, so I can discuss this point here. There are certain prescriptions of certain, let's say,
This is,
it's a herb is called
Mother,
as.
this is going to be on the YouTube, so
Okay, I got it. So there is a concept of Vijaya, which is a herb, okay, which is used. It brings in a kind of a sense of, I won't say intoxication, but a heightened sense of awareness. Okay, which was used by or for the yogic practices. Similarly, this wine called Kadambari is also something that causes not distraction, but it causes the unifocal or it focuses the mind. So apart from that, all the other necessary precautions and how to use and everything is also prescribed in the Shastras. Okay. So the aspect of Kadambari, or when we describe Devi as Kadambari, stands for her ability to, in the form of, see, once again, whether this is required for an Uttamottama sadhaka, it is not required. For a sadhaka who is of a very high order, this may not be required. But for others who will require external aids, okay, this is truly helpful when taken in the right manner as described. So, when we call Devi as Kadambari, we are referring to her functional aspect as one who aids in multiple forms, not just this, any other form, for focusing the mind during the sadhana. Right? So, Kadambari is the Nama. Kadambari.
Pata Sach.
Patasa.
Pata Sach.
Okay.
Patasa.
Patasa. Okay. Pata means cloth. Okay, pata means cloth.
Put.
Patasa, one who is asa means seated or one who is situated. Okay, so one who finds repose in cloths,
Cloths.
right? What does it mean? In the ancient this thing, the cloth was used as one of the material to draw the yantras and to draw the images of the devata. Now, one very important point I want to place on record here. The Shastra is very, very clear that you cannot have for worship an bimba, an image or a chitra, okay, a picture, if it is generated using a mold.
Oh, okay.
So, only the image which is crafted once. So they had a they knew a practice by name of beeswax method. Okay, the old Chola bronzes and others were done using that. What they would do is they will use the beeswax, create a model, miniature model, or whatever is the size that you want to. Okay, they will do the entire carving because beeswax was easy to carve, and that will be pressed. Okay, within within a sand or a clay. Okay, and then a hole will be made into which the molten whether it is the ashtadhatu or silver or whatever is the metal will be poured into, and because of the heat the wax will melt, and the gaps which is created because of the wax, in that gaps this metal will fill in. So this is one time, you cannot replicate it. So no two images will look similar. All right, today most of the images are made using molds.
All Ganeshas are molded by molds only.
Correct. Similarly, pictures. Okay, today we buy a picture which is printed.
Correct.
That is also a kind of a mold only.
Yes.
Okay,
You are
either it is a
replicating
block
Yeah.
or today it is very much sophisticated and advanced. Okay, you have the CTP plates and all those things by which you print images.
Yeah.
These were not considered worthy or appropriate for
Worship.
personal worship or public worship.
I see.
They had to be hand drawn. Okay, and for hand drawing, these some of the materials were identified. The highest in that list was a silk cloth. If you
Okay.
cannot afford a silk cloth, you can go for a jute cloth. You cannot afford that, can go for a birch bark. Okay, Bhurjapatra. Birch bark is a bark of a tree, birch tree. All right, where you have many manuscripts also in Bhurjapatra. All right, all these materials were so, but the highest was considered to be the silk cloth. So the cloth becomes the repose for the image of the Devi, Patasa. Okay, one who has the cloth as a repose, that is as a medium on which she could be represented. Okay, so she is Patasa. Now this is the Laukika meaning of the Nama. Okay, what is the spiritual meaning of the Nama? Pata. Pata stands for stability. The word pata means that which is stable, that which is rigid, that which is fixed kind of. So she is the substratum, she is the unchanging substratum on which the entire world rests. Okay, so she is that fixed. No, we call it as Kutastha Nitya. If we have to use the Bhagavad Gita terminology, Kutastha Nitya, that unchanging substratum, unchanging principle on which everything else is imposed, superimposed. Okay, so that is the significance of the Nama Patasa. So she is Patasa. Kashmiri.
Kashmiri Kumkum Priya.
So
I think
either we
it's
do it
Kesar.
as a single name or we do it as two names. Okay. Saikol Maharaj splits the Nama into two.
Okay.
He splits it as Kashmiri Kunkuma Priya. Okay. If we combine these two, it will mean one who is fond of the saffron that grows in the Kashmir region. Okay. Kunkuma means saffron, right? So one who is fond of the kunkuma, okay, which grows in the Kashmir region. Kashmira Kunkuma Priya. Or else Kashmiri, one who has a special fondness for the place called Kashmir. All right. So we have the reference in a Sahasranama narrated by Shiva himself, calling this place as Kashmir. Okay, it's not a corrupt form. Okay, we may like to derive that word from Kashyapa Mira and all those things, but still, since Bhagavan has used this Nama as such, okay, this is an independent, we have to take it as a standalone Nama for to denote this geographical region. Okay, so Kashmiri, one who is fond of the region, one meaning, one who is beloved of people belonging to Kashmir. So the people are fond of this Devi. Okay, so she is Kashmiri. The sense of belongingness, either from the Devi's point of view or from the point of view of the people living in that geographical area. Either way, the Nama is Kashmiri. Okay, and I think the reason is quite obvious because Devi has manifested herself in this particular region in the form of water bodies. That is why we find mostly aniconic forms in Kashmir. You don't find a proper idol, a proper vigraha. Okay, what we find is normally an aniconic form, probably a Swayambhu Shila, okay, a stone or a rock and all those things, but immaterially near a water body. Okay, now this is a very significant aspect because when we go to the Agama speaks of Murti, Tirtha, Kshetra. Three things are important for anything to become a holy site. Okay, for anything to be called as a Divya Kshetra, this is the term that is used. For anything to be a Divya Kshetra, there has to be something special. And what are the three things which are special? Murti, Tirtha. Okay, Murti is the form. Tirtha is the water body. It could be a pond, it could be a lake, it could even be a river. Any water body. Okay, it is a Tirtha. And the third is that place itself. Something spiritual associated, which is special about that place. All right. So these are the three things which will make it as Divya Kshetra. And having the water body is considered to be very, very key aspect. And we know that the formation of Kashmir itself is when the water was drained from the Satisar. That is how the Kashmir as a region was, or the region came up. Okay, that is the Jalodbhava legend
Right.
that we have. So Devi still manifests in all these places within Kashmir region, okay, in association with a water body. Something that we observe in Kamakhya also. In Kamakhya also, we have all the Dasha Mahavidyas as aniconic forms, and all the Dasha Mahavidyas are located either within or in the this thing of a water stream. So this is a very so it shows that these peethas, these kshetras are very very ancient, untouched by later developmental activities, which are maintaining their pristine purity as such. That's a very significant point. And uh, what is the Adhyatma interpretation of the Nama? So uh, where you have um, the bounty, see the kshetra is also purified by the vana, okay, forests. And Devi is said to reside naturally in the mountain, the caves, and in the forests. Mountains, the caves, and the forests. So all the ancient Shakti Peethas, okay, were in the vicinity of these. Okay, and when we take of Kashmir, we have all the three present very very explicitly till now. So she is Kashmiri. All right. Now the significance, the spiritual significance of the Nama belonging to Kashmir is my opinion that the Kshetra itself is an extension of the oldest Pitha called the Odhyana Pitha. Okay. The seat of highest knowledge. That is why even in many of the legends or the hagiographies of people like Adi Shankara, for that matter, even Ramanujacharya, for the other acharyas like Madhvacharya, they had to come all the way to Kashmir to prove the legitimacy of their doctrine. Whether it is an Advaita, whether it is a Siddhadvaita, whether it is Dvaita, they have to come there and prove their doctrine to be accepted across India. So this is the seat of learning. Okay. So Sharada Pitha is the seat of learning. So where the greatest significance or greatest importance is given to learning. It's a kshetra where the entire mandala, I will say, okay, not just one place. The entire mandala is where the vidya gets the highest manifestation in the form of scholars and students who come there to learn. So that is very, very important because without the Shastra, knowing about the Devata or knowing about the Moksha Marga is impossible. At times we may feel that what is the necessity for learning Shastra? What is the necessity of learning it from a proper Guru? The reply is that these are not something, the spiritual matters are not something that you can directly see or infer using worldly or empirical means. If it is, let's say, any physical law, by observation or by inference, you can arrive at certain conclusions. You can go into a chemistry lab, you can do some experiments, and you can come up with some findings.
Conclusion.
Okay. So they are all based on the pratyaksha and the anumana, the perception and the inferential wisdom. But how will we know about what is the path to moksha? It is not something that we can see. It is not something that we can, because what you see is the basis for your inference. Inference is always based on pratyaksha. Okay, inference is never independent of pratyaksha. That is why the agama comes. Agama is the revealed knowledge. And this revelation comes from sources which we consider as the perfect beings. And who can be, or who else could be more perfect than Ishvara himself? So the Agamas, as coming from the five mukhas, the Panchasrotas, okay, Sadyojada, Vamadeva, Aghora, Tatpurusha, and Ishana, the five faces of Shiva, are considered to be the highest revelations. Whether it is Veda, whether it is Agama, they are all, and they are the one and only source by which we will be guided towards our self-actualization or moksha. So Vidya is the proper study of the Shastra. Okay, so the place which stands, or which exemplifies this scriptural wisdom is Kashmir. So one who is fond of a proper study of the Shastra which leads to moksha. So that is the significance of Devi as Kashmiri. Kunkuma Priya, the next nama, when we take it as an two individual this thing, Kunkuma. Okay, she is fond of Kesar, that's fine, because we use it in many different ways in the puja, either in the prasad we use, or when we do the chandan, we use a bit of Kesar and we grind the chandan, sort of thing.
So Shekharji, one point, this also rebuts one theory where they are saying Kumkum is brought by Central Asia to Kashmir.
Yes.
There is one theory like that also, where they say that Kesar was brought from the Central Asia and came to Kashmir.
But the oldest reference to the word Kunkuma is found in the Rig Veda itself.
Right, correct.
And now that we have already debunked Aryan invasion theory, migration theory, and all those things,
Exactly.
Kunkuma has to be a native
Yes.
craft. Anyway. So, the word Kunkuma, okay, once again, when we see in the Chandana, normally we use two main elements. One is Karpura, the Kapur, the other is the Kunkuma, the Kesar. These two are ground along with the Chandana. All right. The Kapura is white, the Kunkuma is red. And the resultant, this thing is Mishra. So in the Tantra, the white stands for Prakasha, red stands for Vimarsha, and the Mishra stands for the Jagat.
Jagat, right.
Which is a amalgamation of Prakasha Vimarsha. Okay. So this Prakasha Vimarsha Samarasyada. So this Kunkuma is actually the Vimarshanam, the aspect of Vimarshanam. That is why these two elements are added to the Chandana. Alright. So Kunkuma Priya, one who is fond of the Vimarshanatva, the Vimarshana Shakti. Okay. Shantihi.
Shanti.
Shanti and Shanti. There's a slight difference. In Shanti, we have the Sha. In Shanti, it is K and Sha. So that's Sha, the Kshatriya, that Sha comes. Shanti means peace. Shanti is forbearance. Okay.
What
so
is that?
Shanti, forbearance.
Okay.
Okay. So she forbears.
Forbears.
Being mother, the biggest aspect of mother is to forgive. So that is something we observe even in the worldly phenomena. Whatever the child does, normally it is expected that the mother forgives the child of whatever mistake the child commits. Okay, this is we can say this is the swabhava. No, this is the nature of the motherhood, the matra swabhava. It's Kshanti. That is why in Saptashati also, in one of the stava, Tvam Shantihi Kshanti Revacha, it describes. And being Jaganmata, the universal mother, she allows the children to make mistakes. That is where our free will comes, right? So we are allowed to make mistakes. The point where an intervention is required, intervention comes and helps the person find means for betterment in the life. Hundreds of example in the lives of so many saints and sages you can see. Right from the narration, let's very many, say for example, Tulsidas. All right.
Correct.
31st was Tulsidas Jayanti. So I'm just using Tulsidas example. From the child, he was an orphan and he was cursed for being, in Hindi, they say manhus. Okay. So he was cursed for bringing ill luck. And by the time he grew up, okay, he married. And he, after marriage, what he considered was that because of all the trauma that he had undergone in the childhood, he considered himself to be considered himself to be very fortunate that this lady, okay, whom he had married him. So I can't even say the word attached. He was infatuated with his wife. And the story goes that one day, during the rains, she had gone to visit her parents, and unable to bear the separation from his wife, Tulsidas does not even wait for the daybreak. In the night, he sets out. He has to cross, because he lived in Banaras. So he has to cross the Ganga. Okay. And Ganga in spade, what it will look like is unimaginable. Okay. So he swims, but there are very strong currents. He grabs hold of something which he thinks is a piece of wood, and he comes the other side only to realize that it is a floating corpse. All right. And then he reaches somehow the house. The house is locked and all those things. And he climbs up the wall, holding a rope, thinking that it is a rope, happens to be a snake, and reaches the place where his wife is. She is surprised. And he narrates all this, and in the moment of this thing, she tells him, had you had you been attached to the Lord, even to a smaller part to what you have attached to me, then your life would have taken a different turn. This was one sentence that she utters. Because we never know what would be a turning point in one's life. That became the turning point in his life. Completely changed the course of his life. And then what he became, okay, one of the greatest saint scholars, singers, is history. So this the ability of mother to forgive and bring a transformation in the life of her children, the sadhakas, okay, is something that is unimaginable. And she brings it in very different ways to her children. Forgiving all that, she does not take into consideration what they did before, or else she would not even bring this transformation in their life. So she is the epitome of forbearance. That at the highest level, being the Parachit, the highest consciousness. Okay. Here, forbearance means all that projections, all that kalpana, all the vikalpas, okay, that is being projected. Okay, once again, it is the free will of Parashiva, okay, which is manifesting in the form of these projections. Okay. they don't alter the nature of the substratum. Okay, they are allowed upon it, yet, okay, these experience adds to the sadhaka. If it gets converted to samskara, then we are getting into the cycle of samsara chakra. If it does not become a samskara, means if we have perfected, as the Vijnana Bhairava says, how to absorb the experiences fully, then it leaves no residual trace. Therefore, completely giving us an opportunity to enjoy without getting entangled. So this is the Shantitva of the Parachit. So she is Shanti.
Shanti. Bahu Swalakshana. Sarna. Sarna.
Suvarna.
Suvarna. Suvarna. Cha.
Bahu Suvarna.
Suvarna.
Bahu means many. Varna means color. Su is it's an prefix that is used to indicate something better, something nice. Okay. So one who manifests as multiple colors. Bahu Suvarna. See, normally the word Suvarna also means gold.
Correct.
Okay, but here in this context, it is not gold, but it is Suvarna, good colors. Okay, because the word Bahu has come. So Bahu Suvarna, variegated colors. One who manifests herself as in multiple colors. Now these multiple colors, or the 7 colors that we know, is once again spoken about in the Rigveda mantra also, describing the rays of the sun. When he is described to be riding on a chariot drawn by the horses, which are 7 in number.
Correct.
Sapta Sapti Priya. That is what the mantra says, and it gives the colors also. It matches the Vibgyor color. All right. So it is that single Prakasha which manifests itself, okay, as the multiple colors that we see when it passes through a medium. Okay, it's only through refraction that we get to see the multiple colors. When they all converge, it is only white. So that's an experiment we have done in our schools also, right? You have one round thing wherein you color
Prism.
7 this thing. No, you would divide it into 7 parts equally and color them with the Vibgyor colors. If you rotate it, you will
Then
see
it
white.
becomes white. Yeah.
Yeah. So it is that white or the colors, when they converge, they become white. So it is the Prakasha, this the single Prakasha Shakti or Prakashanatva of Shiva, which manifests itself into the variegated. And this is something which the beautiful rainbow that you see is, you don't know when one color starts and when the other color, ends, and when the next color starts. Okay. So here also the Prapancha is also like that. This Prapancha is so variegated that you really don't know the difference between the Vikalpas which has caused these variations in the Prapancha. But they are all variations of the white, which is the Prakasha Shakti. Okay. So to signify that, she is called as Bahu Suvarna. Next nama is Ratihi.
Rati.
Rati means attachment.
Rati.
Rati means attachment. Okay. Rati, Rakti, all these words means to be attached. That is why the name of the wife of Manmatha is Rati. Okay. See, there also, see why he is called as Manmatha. Manmatha. One who churns your mind. Okay. So this love, or the attraction is something that churns the mind, which disturbs the mind. And for that to happen, you should have that initial attachment. It's a very beautiful psychological process. Not everything that you are seeing, okay, you will be drawn towards. Only when you are attached to it and when you constantly think about it, your mind starts working on it. And then comes the obsession to own it and enjoy it for yourself. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan gives this process very beautiful. He says, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodat Bhavati Sammohaha Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Bhramshat Buddhinashaha Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So Bhagavan gives the steps for downfall, a man's downfall. First is Dhyayato Vishayan. See, there are so many things that we see, we hear, we touch, we taste, and kind of. And since so many objects are received, okay, by our senses of knowledge in the world, but to few among these many is what we become initially hooked onto. Okay. After that, what we do is we think about it. Okay. You can just imagine any object instead of an abstract this thing. Let's say a car. You have seen one nice car, okay, on the roads, and you constantly think about it. Its color, its speed, its all the other features of the car. So that is dhyayato vishayan. Then Bhagavan says, Sangaha teshu upachayate. This person becomes attached to it. A sangha, okay? Mental attachment. Then, if the rational or the logic comes and intervenes and tells him possible or not possible, okay, he might leave it. But if it does not, then after that, sangat sanjayate kamaha. Kama is desire to possess and enjoy for himself. That is the meaning of the word kama. If it succeeds, if he is successful in getting it for himself, then it is okay, and we know that this will be there for a few days, probably a few months. After that, he would not even care about the object. It is like the child which cries for a doll. Okay, for some time it will play, and after that it is bored of the toy, because we want to move on to the next object. But if he does not get, okay, if he does not get, the same kama turns to krodha.
Correct.
Same kama turns to krodha. So sangasteshu upajaya, sangat sanjayate kamaha, kamat krodaha abhijayate. The moment he gives or he succumbs to anger, krodhat bhavati sammohaha. It leads to sammoha, a delusion.
Delusion.
What is delusion here? Delusion means the rights and the wrong. So he forgets the propriety of action, propriety of thought, because of this delusion. So this will once again result, okay, to buddhinasha. His ability to rationally think, because of delusion, sammoha, smriti vibhrama. Smriti vibhrama is you loses all the memory of what you have learned, and so you have unlearned everything that you have learned because of this sammoha. So smriti bhramshat buddhinasha. He loses his faculty of reasoning, and he does something which results in his downfall. Smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha buddhinashat pranashyati. So as a result, Arjuna asks, so what is the solution? He says, attack the first thing that is resulting or that will cause for the downfall, which is your mind. So have control on the mind. So that is the psychology of it. So Rati is the sense of attachment which leads to Kama.
Hmm.
So this is why Rati is paired with Manmatha. Okay. So Devi is called as Rati, not in the inferior sense of infatuation, but as a superior sense of being associated with something contributing to immense joy. So she is that highest form of Rati, highest form of joy coming forth from the association. And what is this association? Association with ourself.
Hmm.
Okay. So the highest joy is when we realize who we are. That is what the Trika Shastra teaches us. The Ananda is not outside. Ananda is our own Swabhav. What Ananda we are getting from the objects outside is the manifestation of your inner joy only. But that is in pockets. Okay. So the moment you realize that these external objects are only a kind of an inducers, they are not the cause, they are not the source of the joy. We start looking for the actual or the true source of the delight or the bliss, and we realize when we realize that is the it is the Shiva Swarupatva, which is leading to the highest joy. It brings. So Rati is that highest form of attachment with oneself. So she is the Ratihi.
Bahu
Bahu Suvarnada.
Suvarnada.
So Bahu Suvarnada. Here the word Suvarna means gold. Okay, Bahu Suvarnada. One who bestows lot of gold. Okay, Bahu Suvarnada. When once again here the word gold, or for that matter, the word gold, which is used in many of the Veda mantras also. Say, for example, in the Shri Sukta, Hiranyavarnam, Harinim, Suvarna Rajatasrajam. That is the first mantra of the Shri Sukta of Rigveda. Devi's complexion is compared to gold. And she is also described as the provider of the gold. Alright. So Bahusuvarnada, one who gives, okay, the wealth and the material prosperities to all her devotees who deserve it. But what is this Nama at the highest level? Suvarna, Suvarna, okay, that which describes. Varna means that which describes, okay, that which that which adds to a character. See, what is color? Color is, for example, if there is a white wall and there is a patch of red, that particular spot is highlighted by that particular color. Therefore, that spot gets the characteristics by which it is differentiated from the others. So this is the Varna. Varnyate iti Varnaha. That which describes, okay, that which identifies, that which separates is Varna. So, Suvarna, that aspect of Devi which describes. Okay, what is the description here? The descriptions are the labels that we are associating with Shiva, right? When we describe Shiva to be even, let us say, Sadashiva, when we describe Shiva as Ishvara, when we describe Shiva as Shuddha Vidya, we are adding one label, and Sadashiva we say, when there is Ahamidam. So that is a label to distinguish Sadashiva from Shiva Shakti. Okay, when it is Idam Aham, that label is something that describes Ishvara to be distinct from, in the distinct in the sense not separate, but to show, okay, that Ishvara as a tattva, okay, is marked by the Idamaham experience. It's like that we can go on and on. So these are all varnas, they are all the labels. Okay, so Bahusu Varna, there are so many labels in this manifested prapancha. Sorry, there are so many labels that is manifested in this prapancha. Suvarna, the right label. Okay, what is the difference between the right label and the wrong label? The difference between the right label and the wrong label is when the Shastra speaks, it is also describing in labels only. Please stop me if I am not making any sense. The Shastras are making use of a technique which we can normally compare as removing a thorn using another thorn. All right? Because at the highest level, at the level of Shiva Shakti, at the level of pure consciousness, there are no descriptive labels you can attach to it. Even the so-called words of Prakasha, Vimarsha, Chit, and all those things is only for us to make some sense to what that concept is. It is beyond any conceptual or beyond thoughts. Okay? It's beyond concepts. But the Shastric labels helps us to filter the worldly labels. Because in our experience, when we are dealing in the world with the world, we are having a very different set of expectations and experiences and the messages that we are carrying from those things. The Shastra teaches us that this is how the prapancha is. Trika Shastra says that this is how it is. This is how the Tattva Vichara has to be done. That helps us from not getting entangled with the worldly labels, but to get it into the Shastric labels. And that also has to be shed at the highest point. It is like the ladder which you will shed when you have reached the top. You no longer require the ladder. Similarly, you no longer require the Shastra once you have had the Anubhava. But till that time, you will require the Shastra so that you will know how to filter. Okay, so that is the Suvarna. Normal Varna is the worldly experience or the labels of the worldly experience. Suvarna is the Shastric labels, which will help us. This is what exactly Acharya Abhinav Gupta also speaks. Okay, so she is Bahu Suvarnada. Through the Shastras, she helps us to get ourselves disentangled, therefore realize the highest truth. So she is Bahu Suvarnada.
Shekharji, we can maybe stop here now.
Yeah, we'll stop it here. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Shailesh. Thank you. I will call you back, Shekharji.
Sure.
Namaste. Thank you, Shekharji.
Dhanyavad.